Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be on this face right here. Nothing too dramatic, nothing too, about this look, then please continue watching. So to start this eye look, I'm going to be using the Makeup Revolution concealer in the shade C10. It works really well on the eyelids, especially for colorful, looks, because it dries out pretty sticky. So I'm just going to put that all over my lid. And check out a girl's bun, okay? So I'm just going to blend that concealer out and just not so it won't be too much, it just thin and blend it out perfectly. I'm going in with the Zulu by Juvia's Place palette. It is really good. I love the colors, I love the artwork. The yellow is actually one of the better yellows that I've used and forever. I cannot for the life of me find a good yellow. So this one, I just want to find a yellow that's just very pigmented. But for this one, if you keep building it, it will get more intense as you keep going, as you will see throughout the video. As I build it up and blend it out, it's just gonna, intensify the color. So I think I might be pointing at the wrong one, but I do use the top left shade, which is the gorgeous orange shade, and I'm using that with the BH Cosmetics brush. I don't remember what it's called. It just came in a collection, and so I'm just going to use that because it's a small dome brush, so it's easier to get it in my crease, which is where I want it. And then I'm going to go back to my buffing brush that I use for the yellow, and I'm just going to keep going back and forth. And then to deepen up the crease a little bit, I'm going to go in with the reddish brown with a similar brush to the BH, but this one is pointed but also a little bit fluffy, so I'm able to use that to blend it out. And then I am going to switch back to the BH Cosmetic brush and just blend it out or buff it in. I go back in between brushes and I go back into dipping the colors while adding more color. And the reason is I feel like if I don't do that, then all the colors are for some reason just going to blend in together. And I want some depth because I am going to be doing a cut crease that I'm not too much of a pro at. But I like my cut crease to be pretty high because, well, I don't know. I have deep set eyes, so my cut crease looks a little bit weird once like I stretch my eyelids out and everything like that, but I think it works well for me. Others might not do their eyes or their cut crease as high as I do, but it's all personal preferences. Makeup, you can do what you want to do. And I'm just going to kind of not buff it in, but just thin out the concealer so it's not too thick. And I'm going to use the NYX palette to just set my eyelids, and I'm just going to use the whitest shade. I don't think I have any other shades, so I think that's why I use the palette. I'm not really that big of a fan of the palette, honestly. And now we're just going to get started on the face. The L'Oreal True Match is my favorite drugstore foundation, and I love it so much. It has good coverage. It gives your skin this like natural kind of look. I really do love it. I have to get another bottle, but I haven't used this blending brush in a very long time, and so I figured, hey, why not? I used to love blending out my foundation with a brush, and amazing. Missed it. Didn't know I missed it. And I'm going in with the Cover FX just to cover up my dark circles underneath my eyes. It is a very full coverage foundation. It is not a concealer. However, I use it as such because color correcting, sometimes for me, if I use too much, it changes the color of the foundation and things just start looking a little bit weird. But look how big of a difference it makes. So after all that is blended in, I'm going to go in with my LA Pro Girl Concealer. And the reason why I do that is just to brighten up my eyes underneath my eye area a little bit. And actually the center of my face. I love me a bright, highlighted kind of face. Just because, well, that's what I like. You do what you like on your face. But yeah, I do like the Cover FX. It just doesn't give me that gray of, it's just half a shade lighter than I am. So it works well with coverage, but not with brightening as I would like it to. So I'm just going to use my Real Techniques sponge and blend it all out. I mean, this stuff is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all seen it in many different videos of people blending out their faces, because I know I have. But I'm just going to go in and, like I said, just blend everything out. I'm going to use a brush just because I don't know if you guys can see. Well, you should be able to, but around my eye area, it just looks, yeah, foundation and then concealer. So I'm going to use my brush. That's how old the brush is. I have to stick it. I keep it together with glue to blend everything in together so it won't look foundation and then light concealer because that looks weird. So I'm going to use the Wet n Wild contour stick. I don't really like this one too much. It's alright. It gives me a little bit of coverage. I don't know why, but it's very greasy in a sense because whenever I put it on my face, it's like I have little hairs all on my face and it just sticks to it and it just gives this greasy, weird look. But I don't know. I like contouring my forehead. I used to never because I thought, I don't know, maybe I should just highlight it, but I realized how big it is. Well, not realized, but I knew how big it was, but I just never, cared to contour the whole thing. Now the whole thing is contoured, a little bit of highlight, try and get my five head to forehead. I'm just going to use a smaller kind of buffing brush to blend in my contour. I am not that great at nose contouring. I do have to practice it a little bit more, but I do what I can. And I'm going to go back in with my same foundation brush to blend out the edges of the contour as well. The key to a kind of a cohesive face is just to make sure everything is blended out nicely. So yeah, I'm just gonna go in with the Real Technique sponge again just to blend in the concealer, and I'm gonna use the Sasha Buttercup and Camouflage powder and mix those together to set underneath my eyes. I love, love, love my MAC medium deep mineralized skin finish, and I'm running out and it saddens my life. It is one of the best setting powders because it just blends in. You can't even tell it's there. So I'm going to use my usual BH Cosmetics bronzing palette or contouring palette, and I'm going to use the same orangey brown shade. I love that color on my skin. I do not contour. I don't care for it, but I love to bronze up my face. So I just use that all over the outer parts of my face. And I'm going to go into the BH Cosmetics Forever New Sculpt and Glow palette, and I'm using the blush. It's a pigmented blush, but it has this kind of a sheen, shimmer situation going on. So it's really pretty, and it gives the highlight kind of like something to really blend nicely too. I'm going to go in with the MAC Studio Fix in the shade, I think this NC42. It's a little bit too light for me. I thought it would work for me, but I just use it to carve out my contour when I want it to be harsh, which is all the time. And I'm also going to use a brush to kind of just attempt to make it less harsh, I guess. Using the Wild and Radiant Baked highlighting palette, I use two different shades. I use a lighter one on my cheeks and on my nose and on my cupid's bow, but then I use a bronzier shade for my forehead because I don't like when my forehead looks, bronzy, but then it has this weird white highlight. So I use a bronzier one up there, and I find that that works well for me, and I think that's something that I figured out, over the years of doing my makeup. And that's what works for me, and that's what I will continue to do. I like to pat the highlight on my forehead just because I find that sometimes if I drag it, I get way too much and then it just looks like a glittery mess. So I make sure to just put it on the parts where, the light really does hit it, because as I'm sitting in front of the mirror doing my makeup with the light, being in my face, I'm like, oh, okay, this is where my high points are. And it's really a good guide. So if you don't know that, just, use the natural lighting or regular light and check it out. So I'm just gonna do my mascara. I don't really care for mascara. If there's one thing in the world I couldn't, I didn't have to do is mascara, I would not do it, just because I hate trying to get off my eyelashes, but it does help the lashes, blend in together. And I'm using the e.l.f. I don't recall what color this is. However, I don't really care too much for it because it cracks a lot, even though it is a pretty subtle, pink color, but it just cracks. I mean, I think it was like $3. It's very inexpensive. As we all know, e.l.f. as a brand is a pretty inexpensive brand. However, the finish I just didn't like. But this is the finished look. I really do hope you guys enjoyed the video, learned something, whatever. Leave your comments down below. Check out my Instagram, Diane Garcia,